and let's kick off the live. So today we're going to be talking about something very interesting. So firstly, a big hi to those who are regular, and an even bigger hi to whoever's joining this live for the first time. Thank you for being here. I'm very happy that you're here. Today we'll be talking about creativity when it comes to communication, so creative communication, and how it's the key to building a community that is thriving. We all want to build a community that feels like, a group of friends, or maybe, and, somewhat something that, works for everyone. So, how to build that kind of a thriving community? I just want to start off with a very quick and simple exercise from your day to day life. Think of your email box, okay? I'm sure you get a lot of emails, in one day. Think about the emails that you actually open. Think about certain other emails that you open and read. And I also think about those emails that directly go to your bin. What do you think is the difference between all these different emails? They're all emails, but some catch your attention, some you skim through, and some you just directly send it to the bin. So I'm sure there is a difference, right? Or perhaps when you are like just scrolling through your Instagram, or you're saying, "Hi Ruth, you're from UK. Oh, nice to know, nice to know. Nice. I'm happy to have you here." So basically, I was just talking about doom scrolling, and try and think about that particular post or something that you catches your attention. Hi Vaishnavi, thank you so much for joining. We just started, and I'm just kind of giving examples of different situations from daily life. We're talking about doom scrolling. When you scroll, suddenly something catches your attention, you stop. What about that post that really caught your attention? Or if I go back in time, do you remember the stories that your grandparents told you, your grandma or your grandfather, and you still remember it to date? What do you think is common in all these three examples I mentioned? The common thread amongst all these three is definitely the creativity in communication. So while we're in the age of AI, which is producing content at breakneck speed, at everyone's dishing out emails, long emails, articles, everyone's dishing out a lot of AI generated stuff. But your creativity in the way you communicate is what's going to make you stick. It's what's going to make you stand out in the crowd, maybe make you something, iconic in all the noise that's happening around. So, and also, why do you think you should listen to this from me? So, for those of you who don't know, I'm Urmila. I'm an educator, writer, artist, and the founder of Creative Wellness Project. And for over a decade, I have worked in the intersection of creativity, communication, and wellness, helping organizations and individuals connect more meaningfully. And recently, I conducted like a 4-week virtual workshop for illustrated journaling. And I held a wellness picnic in person. And these events really kind of made me rethink and also notice that when your communication, or when your communication style is a little different from what's going on around you, it really hits home with people. And that's when I decided that I really want to talk about it, because these experiences, what I had, were just like past 4 or 5 weeks. So it's still fresh in my mind. And all the things that I kind of recorded, or I think that would be useful, is something that I really want to share. And that's the reason I decided to have this topic for today's live. Now, you might tell me that, hey, Urmila, like, I don't really have a very client facing job. Like, I don't really need to speak that much. Or maybe you tell me that, you work in tech, you're just with your computer every day, or something of that sort. And you feel that you don't need to be creative in your communication. But allow me to illustrate three different professions, or not so different professions, and you'll kind of see where I'm coming from. First one I would like to talk about is my gynecologist, or should I say my ex gynecologist. Hi, Astrid. Thanks for joining so much. We're just done with the initial introduction, and we're just getting on to some examples on why creative communication is important. So I was talking about my gynecologist, and to say my ex gynecologist. Now, she is, I think, pretty good at what she does. She has all her credentials in place. She is practicing in one of the most expensive areas in Hong Kong. She's working in a very famous, clinic. All of that is fine. So all these things, check, check, check. She also did solve the problem I went to her with. Okay. All of that, check, 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 check. But her bedside manners are possibly the worst. The worst, as in going to the gynecologist itself is a very awkward kind of situation. And she will make it 10x awkward, which makes it like probably, I don't know, the worst experience. So much so that I would really dread even the day before that I had to meet her the next day. And no wonder she is my ex gynecologist. So, this is one example. Contrary to which, my dentist, okay, he cost me an arm and leg, all right, very expensive. He's given me probably the most excruciating pain during the dental procedures, okay, but the way he listens to you, the way he calms your nerves, the way he is, emotionally there and invested and tries to calm you down when you're feeling anxious or whatever, is top tier. The way he can, I don't know, his way of interacting, his EQ is so high that it kind of builds a trust. Like, I could easily find someone more affordable, someone who doesn't, charge so much, but somehow I don't trust him. I mean, I don't trust finding someone else as good as him for my teeth. And also, it's just teeth, right? It's not something life and death. But still, I choose to trust him because of the way he interacts, because of the way he makes me feel, the way he caters to his patients. Not that he doesn't have many patients, he's always booked, like it's back to back to back to back. But the kind of time slice, the quality of time slice that he gives, I think that makes him stand apart so, I don't know, miles ahead. Now, even if you don't want to go into these fancy professions or whatever, let me give you a simple example. Two security people sitting in my concierge, okay? Both very good at their jobs. They're very good at, clocking in people, telling them about tomorrow there's no water, all those things. Very, very, very good at their jobs. But one of them makes an extra effort to, say hello or maybe say good morning. And despite the language barrier, probably they're not very comfortable with English, he will still try to say, oh, hello, how are you doing today? Just basic stuff. Not that we sit and convey, talk the whole time or something, but just that extra mile of effort that he takes to have a rapport with almost everyone who passes by in the building, whether it's good morning, good afternoon, good evening. He does that extra bit. So you can easily imagine who among these two is going to get the bigger red packet during Chinese New Year. For those of you who don't know, during Chinese New Year, you do give these kind of red packets. They're called lycee. It's got like a little amount of money that you give to, your help or your security people and all of that stuff. So you can easily guess who's getting the fatter lycee packet based on the way he communicates. So these are all different examples where creative communication comes into play in different ways. The way it builds trust, the way it makes people remember you. So, if we were to actually define what exactly is creative communication, I would really say it's all about using innovative, engaging ways to connect with each other or others authentically. It's all about how you make someone feel valued, someone heard, and someone seen. And do that with, by blending creativity, emotional intelligence, and also a whole lot of intentionality. I think that is where I would say creative communication is all about. So whether you're writing that email, whether you're hosting a meeting, or you want to build a community online, I think creative communication is going to be that differentiator in this day and age of AI and all this, mass generated content that we do. So, based on my recent experiences, I really want to share 4 tips with you that has helped me at least, start in the right direction. And I'm really sure that it'll help you as well. Okay. The first tip I would say is definitely show up fully. Okay. What I mean by this is whenever we are online, right, we have a very curated version of us, correct? Like, even for this live, I'm sitting in a place which is a little well lit. I have my points that I have in my mind. So you do curate a little bit of the experience. But if you can be even like I don't know, 5% vulnerable with what you're sharing, that makes you so relatable. I have to give the example of my Substack lives. So I started doing these Substack lives every Thursday. So I think the one I'm doing today is my third one. The first one that I decided to do was I really wanted to start with a topic that I really feel strongly about. Okay. So I did on the topic of creativity as a survival skill. So usually when we think of creativity, we think of it like a talent, drawing or whatever. But I spoke about how creativity is more like a survival skill because my life is a testament to that. When I was deciding on what points I want to share for this life, I was actually thinking that, would anyone even care? Or is it too much? Like, is this like a little bit of trauma dumping and all of that stuff? Okay. But you will not believe. I did share a lot of experiences. Some of them were a little too, not little too, but a little personal. And during the live itself, the amount of people that were giving supportive comments or were saying that, oh, thank you so much for sharing this. I didn't know this about you. And that makes you so relatable. And I think during and after, I had kind of such wholesome interactions with people I just knew, like maybe through, your comments on Substack or maybe on some other social media. But I think that connect that happened after that live was, I think, definitely more meaningful. For my second live, I spoke about imposter syndrome as using it as your fuel. Now, imposter syndrome is a very shared experience. Whether you're a CEO or whether you're a student, everyone has it, right? So I decided to choose that as my topic because that's also something that I kind of had figured out a way to work around with. And when I was sharing about the imposter syndrome, after that live got over, I got the sweetest message, the sweetest and the longest message that said that I'm so grateful that you spoke about these things because I'm going through these things exactly like I'm going through it like right now. And to hear it from someone who is a few steps ahead of you that it's going to be okay or it's going to be fine, I think is definitely very reassuring. And she was so thankful about me talking about my experiences, which I think gave her a little more hope. So I think showing up with a little bit of vulnerability always adds that extra connection that is definitely missing in this world that we're living in right now. Another example I want to just quickly quote about being vulnerable and sharing things is I host two groups. Okay. So one is my illustrated journaling group. Now that's a fairly more active group. So there, I have people from the first group. I have people from the second batch who have just joined. And there is like banter going on. There's camaraderie. Sometimes I share something, sometimes they share something. And, there's something going on or the other. So that's still, I would say, an active community. But there's another group that I also run or I host or whatever. It's called the Unboxed Collective. Now, Unboxed Collective is basically for women who are child free by choice. Now, it is a bit of a touchy topic, right? It's not something that people would want to talk about openly or may not want to like open up with strangers, correct? So that group is generally a little quieter. Like there is some kind of radio silence going on there. And I didn't really know how to open up. So sometimes when you don't know how to get going with certain things, you kind of keep it as it is. So it was like dormant for some time. But I think it was 2 months back or something. The last of my friends from my friend group, she also had a baby. So that was the last, friend that I had who didn't have a kid. And, we used to whatever hang out and all that. And then she had a baby or something. And also another friend who from university who we had thought that yeah we will be child free by choice, that this we were like fitness, all these common things. And he and his wife also, they decided to have a child. So that day I was feeling some type of way. I was like, I don't know. I was happy for them, but I was a little, it felt a little bit like, am I the only one? Like, am I the only one who has this kind of a life choice? So it felt a little lonely. It felt like, am I an anomaly or something? That kind of thing. I know it's a very passing, intrusive thought. It's not something that's going to be long lasting. Like, it's not that it's going to change my mind about having kids or not having kids. But still, it was definitely not my highest point. And I just shared that in that group, the Unbox Collective group. And you won't believe that while I was typing, I didn't really have anything in mind. I just felt that this is the only group that's going to understand where I'm coming from. So I just wrote it in that group. And suddenly, all the members in that group started, saying things like, oh, I understand, how you must be feeling. Do you want to talk to your friend and figure out how it is? That was so sweet. Like, it was unexpected. I just shared it with absolutely no expectations. I just shared it because I was feeling it and I felt that this would be the right group to talk about it. I wasn't doing it with the intention that they are going to open up or something. But when you show up with a little bit of vulnerability, I think people lower their guard down a little bit and they also open up a little more. I'm not recommending you to go trauma dumping on people. I'm not saying that. That's not what I'm suggesting or recommending. But just a little bit that you can, come out from your perfect life or something, because I think authenticity always trumps perfection. So I think that's definitely my tip number one. Try and show up fully. If you have an experience that has led to some learning, share that experience when you're sharing that learning. So people feel that, oh, I'm listening to someone who's few steps ahead of me. And it feels more relatable, it feels more reachable. So that's one thing. Hi, Madhu. Thanks so much for joining. You missed a little bit, but we're actually now talking about some tips that I kind of discovered about showing up. I mean, when it comes to creative communication. So we just got done with tip number one. We're moving on to tip number two. Tip number two, I cannot recommend enough. Celebrate your community. Now, we all have different communities. Like, for example, if you're on Substack, you have your subscribers, you have your subscriber chat, or all these things. So, you do have some or the other community going on there. But sometimes, I don't know. When I say celebrate your community, I say it like do it with all your heart. Because for me, my illustrated journaling community, whenever they post something in any other group, like probably they've made a spread and they share it, I will make it a point to express what I liked about it, what they've done well, and I make sure that I encourage them wholeheartedly. Not because I have an intention that, oh, this is my community, I'm going to nurture them and all that. It's just because I genuinely want to celebrate their victory, because I always feel that when your community is winning, you're winning. So I cannot recommend this enough, that celebrate wholeheartedly. I have seen very transactional, I don't know, celebrations of community, like, oh, if you become a founding member, I will give you a shout out in my subscriber chat or something, when you're those who have like big subscriptions and stuff like that. But I feel it still feels very transactional. It meets the purpose. Yes, you want to give them more visibility. You want to do a little something for your this thing. But I don't know, if you go beyond that step of transaction and you kind of do the extra bit, you end up building a relationship, I think. So I think because of this nature of mine of naturally being there, appreciating, like I could just mark a heart on whatever they share and be done with it. I don't really have to stop what I'm doing and like try write a whole paragraph about them. But I will do that because I know that if they have taken the time to do something and share it, it must have taken them also a lot of courage to do it. Because I think when it comes to creativity, when it comes to art, people are also feeling some type of way, especially when you're adults. You're a little conscious, maybe you're not feeling very I don't know, it's not your best work or something, and but still you take that step of sharing it with the group. So I always make sure that if someone is doing something out of their comfort zone, I really celebrate them, I really amplify it. I'll also share it on my feed, so that it kind of validates their feeling of sharing, and they are encouraged to do that again. So that's my tip number two: celebrate your community. Tip number three, which is, I think, something that does come a little naturally to me, is pay attention to tiny details. Now, being someone who has been an urban sketcher for like 10 years, I think it's a muscle that you develop to pay attention to things. But even in your interaction with people, please pay attention to little details, because when you remember these little details and you carry forward it in the next conversation or the next time you see them, the way their face lights up, I think it's priceless. You cannot put a price to that. I find that a very rewarding experience. So when I did my 4 week online illustrated journaling workshop, for the first one, 20 people had signed up. And that was my first time starting a session of this sort. So 20 people had signed up. And I was so grateful for them. It was a Friday evening. I was doing these sessions every Friday. So it was a Friday evening. I was really tired because I had, like, I prepared a lot and all of that. We had 20 people on Zoom. It's not the easiest to handle 20 people when they're doing something creative. Not that they were making noise or something, but it's just like you want to, I don't know, pay attention to everyone. So it was a little hectic with 20 people on Zoom and different, people, right? There was no similarity in any of them. So it was a little tricky. It was a little draining. I was tired. And I always post my Substack every Monday. So, in the coming Monday's article, I drew a little sketch of all of them and wrote a little tiny bit that I remember of them. So, 20 people had joined. I made 20 sketches of all those people who had joined my workshop while writing that article on Monday. And it was like a very sweet surprise for whoever attended. Like, I got all these messages saying that, oh, I'm so excited to see like this little sketch of mine. I didn't expect it. It really made my Monday. Or I really want, I really, I felt so happy seeing my sketch there. So it was a really sweet thing. And for my last class, like when the first batch finished their last class for the fourth one, this group is really special to me. Like everyone's so close. It was the first experience we had together, even for me. And this is a very close knit group. They support each other. They cheer each other on, and it's a really nice experience to see that because that's what you call community. So after the last class got over, for the Monday's article, I wrote a little love letter for all of them in my article. So for everyone, so 7 had come for the paid sessions, and I wrote a little paragraph for each of them about what I remember about them, what they brought to the session. And I think everyone was so moved to read that little bit because, again, it was unexpected. I didn't have to do it, but I wanted to do it because if they have given me their time, their energy, their participation, I was really grateful for that experience because they really made my Friday so much better. So I want to do this thing, and I think they were very, very happy to just read that little paragraph about each of them. And yeah, I got a lot of good messages in return as well. So it's like a ripple effect. Like if you are doing something authentically, if you're doing something from a place of connection, I think it just ripples and makes the whole day. And it made the Monday so much better for like 7 people, and 8th was me. So I think definitely pay attention to the smaller things, pay attention to details, names, or maybe something. I think one of the participants, she's quite multi-hyphenated. She's very multi-talented. She does 100 things and she's very good at them. But she's always told me that I'm not creative. I don't know how to draw. She beats herself a lot when it comes to creativity. So she had joined the second batch of this illustrated journaling workshop series that I'm hosting. And I could see her trying her best to, be part of the activities and participating, wholeheartedly. And when I wrote that paragraph about her, I mentioned that I know that it's you're coming out of your comfort zone, and I really appreciate you for doing that. So I think it really reaffirms, it bonds that kind of relationship, and I think it just goes beyond, someone who attended my class to someone who will remember my class because people always remember how you make them feel. And you can make them feel special only if you're paying attention to your conversation, only if you're present, only if you are, mentally there. So I think it's all like a collective thing. Everything adds up. Like somebody literally wrote, on the comment on the article saying that it's really, I don't know, it's amazing that you remember all these small things enough to collate all of them. I honestly keep a folder. Like that's my thing. Like if I find something special, if someone's written something special to me, I will screenshot it and put in a folder because when you're having one of your bad days, you can just open up that folder and it feels really good. I do that quite often. Like when generally my moods are like, upswing, downswing, that kind of thing. So when I'm having a bad day, I just open up that folder and, you're feeling better in no time. So I think that's something that you can do if you feel that you can't remember things. That's one thing that I do and you can do it as well. The last step that I would say is try and create shared experiences. What I mean by this is Recently, I hosted like an in person wellness picnic. This was the event of my dreams. So it was a collaboration between me and a fitness instructor. So the first hour was a fitness workout that she had conducted, followed by an open air creative journaling session led by me. And there was a whole picnic setup. So we had hired a picnic company. So she had done the whole decor. So this was in a park. Like, I don't know, you just see this in like these cute Pinteresty magazines or like in the movies. So we had an event like that. So we had 50 people working out with her in the beginning for an hour. 15 people, they had their creative journaling session, and we were sitting in an outdoor setting with the whole picnic decor. You should see the pictures of this. I think, I mean, even seeing the pictures will make you happy. And this was open air. So it was like the ultimate trifecta of healing. It was fitness, it was mental wellness, and it was in nature. So I think those 15 people, some of them knew each other, but by the end of it, we also had ordered some sandwiches and some juices for them. By the end of it, it felt like a whole family meal. We had this really long table, and everyone's sharing sandwiches, everyone's taking photos, they're having their juice. So in the beginning, it was a little like, some people didn't know each other. I didn't know any of them because they had come through the fitness instructor who had collaborated with me. So I didn't really know anyone. And by the end of it, we're sharing sandwiches like, oh, you don't like crab? Here, have the other one. So it was like, by the end of it, it was like this huge family table. Everyone's laughing, taking pictures, having a really good time. So I think I cannot emphasize what kind of an effect a shared event or shared experience can have. So I think these 4 tips would really, really be a great start for you to think creatively when it comes to how you show up in your communication, whether it's speaking, whether it's writing, or whether it's like interpersonal. So, hi, Malcolm. We kind of spoke a lot about a lot of things, and I wish you joined earlier, but no worries. So, can I ask, what does your tattoo say? Yeah, okay. Maybe I'll talk about my tattoos. Maybe I'll message you that. And thank you so much. Yeah, picture of your picnic. Yes, you must. That picnic pictures, I think I will always treasure that because that was my first wellness picnic, and I want to host more of these in future as well. So we spoke about 4 tips today. I really hope that you remember them. So one is definitely show up with all the vulnerability that you can and are willing to share. The second, I would say, is celebrate your community. It will feel like such a close bond thing that you will really, I don't know, it's like when your community wins, you win. And the third one that I spoke about was definitely paying attention to detail. You have no idea if you start doing that, the quality of your communication and your interaction, how much it can increase. And the last one I would say is definitely if you can curate a shared experience, go ahead and do that. Do not underestimate the power of a community experience, a community bonding feeling that happens. So before we end this, I just want to give you like one challenge. Think of one area in your life, whether it's you hosting a meeting, or maybe it's celebrating a colleague's victory, or probably paying attention to that client's needs, whatever it is. Identify one area of your life where you can be a little more creative with your interaction, your showing up, and where you can use any of these tips. So if you have any questions, you can feel free to always reach out to me, directly message me. If you would want to work with me in bringing these experiences or these talks to your organization, I would be more than happy to do that. So you can always reach out to me on Substack or email or message. And yeah, I think until the next time, I really am very grateful for you that you showed up here. And I will see you next Thursday with another live. Until then, stay connected, stay creative. And thank you so much for coming here today. Thank you so much. Bye bye. Take care. See you.